G0OKS MM0JVB and CQ40, Mike 0 Japan, Victor Bravo CQ40.
Yeah, Mike 0 Japan Charlie Fox. Good afternoon, Jimmy.
0 Japan Charlie Fox. How you doing, Mr. Neil?
Yeah, very well, thanks, mate. That was me saying break, by the way, but I wasn't using the frequency or calling on the frequency, and then I heard you drop down 500 hertz or whatever it was to tell someone to kindly move on. But yeah, I recognised the voice there, Jimmy, and I just thought I'd jump in and say Happy New Year, mate, and get that in now before you gave yourself a pile-up. Back to you, MM0JVB, M0JCF.
Yeah, speaking of 8 Mark, what radio are you on the old, is it the 820, 830?
No, you're thinking of the 520S, but no, today, Jimmy, first time for me and you, I'm using the FT-101ZD, running about, hang on a minute, I'll tell you in a second, it's running about 100 watts peak voice, but when I was tuning about 10 kilohertz down, it was up to about 150 watts, into the usual long wire, but sorry, the short answer, mate, is no, FT-101ZD, not the 520S. Back to you.
Yeah, very clear, Mark. Very clear. I don't know if you're hearing the monkey chatter underneath. There must be somebody in 150, 151. I'm getting a lot of monkey chatter, Mark. But your signal's stronger than it, and very, very clear. Nice and unmistakable voice as well. And you're peaking under my 9 at the moment, Mark. I could let go of the mic and you maybe be 30+ in the next one. It's just the way it goes, mate, over.
Yeah, QSL, mate. Well, I'm just watching the meter as you were talking, and you're between 5 and 8 stroke 9 as well. So every now and again, you just nudge the 9, but you're a consistent S8. And you was consistent S8 on your last QSO as well. But no, I can't hear any sideband splatter from just below or just above. I'd expect it to be from above, to be honest, being that it's lower sideband, but then what do I know? But no, it just I'm glad I've got a good audio report as well. I'm using the Yaesu Yankee Delta 148 desk mic that came with the radio. I'm sure you followed the posts. I picked this radio up about 3 weeks before Christmas, I suppose. It was a silent key sell-off, basically the widow. She'd been, like her husband had gone 5 years ago, and she'd sold all of his gear, so all of the good, well, I say good, all of the modern gear was already taken, and she'd been hanging on to this and a few other bits for like 5 years, and she was about to skip the whole lot, and all she wanted was a donation to her church. And I mean, I'm not a church goer, but at the end of the day, I donated the money to her. What she does with it is entirely up to her, and I'm sure it went to a very good cause. I think she said they were going to use the money, any money they collected was going to be used to buy Christmas meals for homeless people. So, I got something out of it. I got a very nice radio and a lot of very nice homebrew kit and some components. And she obviously got what she wanted, and I think other people probably benefited as well. So, yeah, it was all very nice. And, I'm liking the radio. I think I still prefer the Kenwood. I think I still prefer the older type of radio as well. I mean, this one's got a digital readout, and that's quite a luxury for me. But there you go. That's the story there, Jimmy. I hope you had a good Christmas, by the way. I had COVID. Both me and my wife had COVID-19 just before Christmas, and we came out of isolation on the 22nd or the 23rd. So it was a very close run thing. Both my daughters are okay, but so apart from that, mate, we had a great Christmas this end, and so I had a nice New Year celebrations. I know up your way, your first lady there, she sort of basically tried to trample on everyone, but that's another story. Let's get back to you anyway. MM0JVB, M0JCF.
Yeah, well, we should be actually sitting watching Rangers play Celtic just now, Mark, but that's all changed. The football shut down, everything shut down. Yet 100 miles down the road, St James's Park is even with fans. Yet they've restricted football to 500 fans just before the winter break there, Mark. You know I'm a big football fan. And the shopping centres, as you can imagine, Boxing Day sales, you can't move in them for people. An open-air football ground just empty to 500 people. That's how mental she is, Mark. Politics just wants to be different. I'm pretty sure that the idiots in Westminster have got more knowledge of what's going on than the idiots in Edinburgh and Holyrood. But to be different from the Tories and be different from England, she shuts the country down, Mark. It's terrible, mate. Other than that, not bad Christmas. Never had COVID. Had that before Christmas. My wife was working almost all the way through Christmas with a couple of days off in between. She worked Christmas Day and Boxing Day. But she was off. She finished on New Year's Eve, 7 o'clock. And done typical things. She started the provisional state pipe in the morning before she went to work, and it cooked for almost 24 hours. So the family was round yesterday, Mark, with my mother, 2 daughters, grandsons. Everybody was round for a traditional steak pie lunch, Mark, yesterday over.
Sounds idyllic, mate. And you know, the thing is, Jimmy, you got to make the best of what we got. You know, what we've got around us. As I say, you know, Boris Johnson, love him or loathe him, I think this time he did the right thing by keeping England open. As I say, I had the Omicron variant, and I've had worse common colds, mate. I really have, and my wife's exactly the same. The only difference between me and her is she lost her sense of taste and smell, and I never. I certainly didn't lose my appetite, I know that, because everything's straining at the moment. But you know, I'm a big bloke anyway. I'm as big a bloke as you are a football fan there, Jimmy. But yeah, what I also heard as well, and was the mass exodus of people from places like Edinburgh, where they went across to like Newcastle, and people from Glasgow crossed over into Carlisle, etc. We had some friends down over the New Year, and they're sort of, they live in between Liverpool and the Scottish border. I think around the Lake District area. I say they're friends of friends, and they were saying the same thing. You know, the amount of Scots that had crossed the border 24 hours beforehand, getting ready, you know, to have their celebrations. And that's where your lady sort of shot herself in the foot for the local businesses, because, you know, all this business with Scottish independence, blah blah blah. Take it or leave it, you know, I couldn't care less one way or the other. But, you know, what she was effectively doing was getting the Scottish population to spend their money in the English bars and restaurants and nightclubs and things like that. And I thought that was a little bit crazy, you know, sort of a way to go, Nicola. You know, give your people, you know, like a hard time. And what do? Well, only for those that could manage it, of course, was they go into another country per se and spend their money there. You know, it's like the southeast of England all being locked down, and so we all decide to go over over to France for a couple of days and spend our money there. You know, crazy. But you know, that's politics for you. And as you say, she likes to do whatever Boris Johnson isn't doing. So, you know, if he locks us all down, she'll open you lot up, and if he keeps us open, then she'll lock you down. As I say, it's a ridiculous politics, and all this, you know, like gaining advantages and disadvantages. That drives me nuts sometimes. And I think we're meant to, aren't we? By our licence conditions, we're not meant to talk politics and all the rest of it. But, you know, I don't think you can avoid it sometimes. It makes for very boring listening for the shortwave listeners. But I just like to talk absolute crap anyway. So, you know, they're going to hear it crap come out of my mouth anyway, whether it's politics or not. JVB M0JCF.
Yeah, no problem, Bob. No, I agree with you. Terrible decision, and it's just plain politics. It's not based on science or facts or anything like that, but it's just plain politics, and it's silly for the sake of it. As you see, how much money is going out the country to be spent because of a political childish decision, I think. Don't worry about it. Such is life. Well, hopefully it can only get better, mate. It can only get better. I seen your updated photograph. Profile picture. Joe looks as if he had a good night last night, Mark, and I'm pretty sure that was taken after 12 o'clock, mate, over.
Yeah, Roger, mate. It was just after, you know, when everyone's fireworks and that went off, and we was up at my mate's house, just up at the road. As I say, there was a few families there, because we're allowed that, you know, Jimmy. We're allowed to mix families in our country. But no, all joking aside, yeah, that photograph, I just said to someone quick, you know, the very first photograph of 2022, and you're quite right. Yes, I would say that I was a stately figure. That's what I would say, Jimmy. Whereas my wife's completely the other way. I think my wife lost lost weight over Christmas, and there's nothing of her to start with. But you know, it's all good fun, isn't it? You know, I know I'm an overweight fat pig, so that's all that matters. You know, I really should do something about it. I'm approaching 60, so I really should get it all under control, because there will be a point, I suppose, where, I mean, I can't be bothered to exercise and that now, but there will be a point where whether I can be bothered or not, I won't be able to, because I'll be too much of an old lump, you know. But just changing the subject, Jimmy, let's get off of politics and me being fat, and I just wondering how you've been getting on. A little while ago there was a little bit of F-layer propagation on 15 and 10 meters. I think it's about a week ago, and I had a good contact in Namibia on 10 meters, and then straight afterwards South Africa on 15 meters. That's all I've had over the Christmas period. The X-wise was, as I say, a little bit of South Africa, but obviously just before that, was it in November time, it was really quite good. I know people are reporting all over the social media that, you know, that this is open, that's open, this is the DX, but of course it comes down to antennas for a lot of the people. You know, I've got a long wire up, and obviously it's a bit of a compromise antenna, and I don't chase DX per se, but it is nice when you get it. So just wondering if you've had anything up on the higher bands, or have you just been floating around 40 meters there, Jimmy? MM0JVB M0JCF.
Yeah, no, I played around on 20 metres yesterday. Being a very, very sad person, I was wanting to make sure that the first contact I put in the log was for 2022 was something decent, Mark. So that's how sad I am. I went down to 20 metres, up to 20 metres yesterday, and the first contact I got was Tasmania. Rod down in the river, VK7. And I then worked Stephen, VK6 in the radio over in Perth, Western Australia. So I made sure that the first entry of 2022 was something decent, hoping that the rest of the year will be the same, Mark. But we'll see what happens. But yesterday as well, on 40 metres, after sitting right tune with the two are just now, I eventually bumped into a Whiskey 7 over in Seattle. So you're thinking that the skip's running short and it's InterG and close by Europe. But little do you know, the other end, the west coast of America's hearing you. And you don't even realise, Mark, over.
Yeah, Roger, mate. Well, the last time I had West Coast USA was during that nice F-layer lift. It was during that worldwide CQ contest, you know, the end of November, and I got California on where was we? I think I was 10 metres or 15 metres, I can't remember, but that's the only time that I've done California. As I say, I'm not a DX chaser, and once again, I wasn't even using the 10 metre band vertical. I was actually using the long wire, which at 10 metres it really isn't a good antenna. You know, it's got lots of length to it, but it's just not a good antenna, I find, for 10 metres. But I did California, and I never know, you know, whether my signal has gone across the Atlantic and reached California that way, so across the Atlantic and then the USA itself, or if it's probably and most likely gone over the North Pole. It was during daylight, so I know the North Pole this time of the year, end of November and into January, is pretty much in darkness. So I'm liking to think that my signal went via the pole. Certainly I wouldn't have thought it was long path across excuse me, Russia and the Pacific. The furthest I've ever got east actually is 17 metre band, and that was Japan. So I've done Japan, so I'm quite happy about that. But nice catch in Tasmania. I mean, I've never worked VK, ZL, etc. Back in the days when I was a shortwave listener in the 1970s, I would listen to a lot of the broadcast stations out of those countries, and likewise I would hear hams when I was a shortwave listener using an old AR88 or a reception set 206, something like that. But you know, I would often hear hams out of that part of the world, and since I've been licensed, the last 4 years I've been licensed, I've heard a few VKs, a few ZLs, particularly early in the morning on, as you say, 20 metres. And but the problem is, you know, they're pile-up magnets, aren't they? And unless you're actually calling CQ, then I tend to I might give them a couple of calls when they break and like end their QSO, but I don't sort of pursue it. I'm in no rush to work, you know, as many countries as possible in as short as possible. But nice to see that you got the VK, and I say Tasmania in particular. I've actually travelled round Australia. I've done the whole country. Bought a camper van out there in 1993 and drove 26,000 kilometres around the whole country. So that's the whole #1 highway, including various roads inland from that highway, you know, to the cities inside. But yeah, not a place I want to go back to in any great hurry, having seen so much of it. And likewise New Zealand, I've done both of those top to bottom as well. Funnily enough, I mean, it's probably way long wraps now. But I believe I would have arrest warrants for me in both countries, only because of motoring offences in both New Zealand and Australia. I basically I didn't pay the fines. Naughty of me. But the Australian even suggested, because it was Western Australia that I got done for not wearing a seatbelt, and he said, you'll be out of state in a few days, we won't come looking for you. And he said, and if you're going to be out of the country in a few days, or like a few weeks rather, he said, we certainly won't be pursuing you across the world, you know, for $100. So basically he was telling me, you know, don't pay, and I didn't. So but you know, I suppose technically I still owe them that money, and same for New Zealand. I was speeding in New Zealand, so it was my own fault, bang to rights. But there you go, it's a long time ago, and I'm sure if they wanted to pursue it, they could have done. But be interesting if I ever wanted to go back, if that would come up in some sort of record. But I don't think I'm going to sweat over it. But yeah, a nice memory there, seeing as you mentioned VK, etc. I might be drifting a little bit, Jimmy. I am drifting about I suppose 100 hertz every couple of minutes or so. This radio definitely drifts very slightly, and when I unkey, I do correct it. So back to you there, Jimmy. MM0JVB, M0JCF.
You are very slightly. You are very slightly drifting. So what you're trying to say, you've got the body from Baywatch that's now getting fatter, but the face is for Crime Watch. Australia's Most Wanted. Dear oh dear. Good stuff, Mark. A friend of mine actually done similar. New Zealand and Australia. Bought a Volkswagen camper and went round the place. Very similar sounding to yourself. And he's licensed cam as well. He stays just up the road from me. And done very similar, but he did it with his girlfriend, now his wife. She's a hairdresser, and they were picking up money. We have doing hairdressing jobs. We used to work in the same factory, and he took his redundancy and being young. And before they get married, they decided to tour the world. And went about at long path. I'm pretty sure they went to North America first, Canada, places like that, and down to New Zealand, from New Zealand up to Australia, round Australia in the camper van, and up to Thailand, and I think they come back home to Thailand. Something I wouldn't have minded doing myself, but I never get around to it, Mark. It sounds fantastic, something that I would have done when I was younger, but as I say, I never get around to it. He took his redundancy and I kept my job, mate, over.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and you know what? It sort of parallels what I did. At the time, I was working for British Telecom International, and I've been there since 79 when I was an apprentice, and it was they called it Release 92, and they let 29,000 people go in July 1992, and I took that release. I got 2 years' money, and as you can imagine, I was 29 years old and raring to go, and the lady who is now my wife, who you see in that photograph the other night, I'd actually been going out of her 3 years when I told her, look, me and Andy are going to go travelling, and we'll be gone 6 or 7 months, and that's all it was. It was 7 months I was gone. But the way we did it is we just flew out to Bangkok, spent a few days in Bangkok, as you do. From there we went down into New Zealand, landed in Auckland, got a car, and basically drove across both islands. We took us a month, and a fantastic, beautiful country, New Zealand, absolutely stunning. And you know, it's for a country that's the size of England in two islands, it is so varied and different. Every 100 miles you go, it's different. You know, you could be walking on glaciers, climbing mountains, or going around hot springs and boiling mud. You know, it's a fantastically diverse place. We then went to Australia, bought the VW camper van in a place called King's Cross in Sydney. We had friends out there, so we stayed with the friends a couple of days while we got ourselves sorted, and then we just drove and drove and drove. We saw the Nigel Mansell racing, IndyCar racing. That was at Surfers Paradise, so we saw Nigel Mansell win that, and all the British hooligans were out there, as you can imagine. It's quite funny. You go halfway around the world to hear people going, here we go, here we go, here we go, all wearing their Union Jack shorts and wrapping themselves in Union Jack flags. But as I say, this was for, you know, for the car racing. They had IndyCar and Oscar were the two well-known classes, and NASCAR. There was obviously the NASCAR was there, but because it was a street circuit as well, it was different from watching it in America on the ovals. And then, as I say, we did the whole of Australia, and then from there we went up to Singapore, and then up through Malaysia, and then we did a bit of motorcycling around Thailand, etc. And at that point I got let's just say I was passing water out the wrong place, and it went on for a couple of days. You know, when you just think yourself, I'm fed up now, I'm bored with this. My mate wanted to carry on travelling through Asia, but I just, no, I'm getting on a plane now, mate, I'm going home. So as I say, it was 7 months, and I came home, and now I maintain my girlfriend at the time waited for me. She says that no one better come along, but you know, it was a good test of the relationship, and we consequently bought a house, had children, well, bought a house, got married, had children who are both in their 20s now, and here we are today, you know, with a little bit more expendable income to spend on old radios. So yeah, that was the way that I did it, but all good fun indeed. Listen, Jimmy, literally I wanted to come out here like you, like yesterday actually. I didn't get any DX, but I wanted to get a few in the log on the 1st of January, so I actually used this radio, the TS-450, and I used that little micro SDX, and I did it's only northern Spain, but I did 4 watts into northern Spain on the little micro SDX on 40 meters. So yeah, I grabbed a few, and then literally, believe it or not, I actually came out into the garage. I hung the washing out earlier, and it started to rain this afternoon, so I brought all the washing in for drying and the underwear and that we bung in our tumble dryer that's in the garage. And I thought to myself, oh, while I'm here, you know, I just bunged it in, I'll have a quick listen to the radio. Literally switched on the 101, and there you was, I was on the frequency that you was on. So I thought to myself, I know that voice, so I'm going to wish him Happy New Year. And that's literally all I come out to do. And just checking, hang on, yeah, we've been at it 28 minutes now. I know, because I'm videoing it for my YouTube channel. So there you go. Seem to have drifted 200 hertz as well on this over. So Jimmy, I'm going to cut it short now, mate. I'm going to grab myself a can of beer out of the fridge, go in and spend the rest of Sunday afternoon with my good lady wife. So I wish you best 73, mate. Happy New Year, and look forward to the next time I hear your dulcet tones on the radio, and I'll give you a shout, and it'll be me saying break, 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 break until you bloody answer me. So back to you for any final there, Jimmy, and I'll let you have your frequency back. MM0JVB, M0JCF.
Yes, always a pleasure, mate. Always a pleasure. When you were talking about Australia, I'm sure you've seen Lee's video on the Facebook page with the mobile and the IGU work in Australia. I'm pretty sure you would have seen that. So anything's possible, Mark. Anything's possible. It's like fishing, mate, being there at the right time with the right bait to entice them in. So I'm sure it'll come your way. A happy New Year to you and the world, and good health to you all for the rest rest of the year, Mark. Mike Zero, GCS, been a pleasure as usual. Mike Zero, Juliet Victor Bravo. Happy New Year, Mark.
Yeah, Jimmy, as I say, it's always a pleasure, and it's been a good 4 years chatting to you and all, believe it or not. I mean, right back, I think the first time we chatted was 80 metres, but you know, we've done it a few for all three of my call signs, I believe, and especially since I bought your TS-450 off you, didn't I? Your TS-450S AT, you know, and that obviously went to a new home, and I don't know if I've moved forwards or backwards. Apart from the TS-590, I think everything else I've bought has been like late 70s and 1960s. But anyway, look, I did say I was going, and I am going to go, mate. Yeah, best 73, and great talking to you. This is Mike Zero, Juliet Charlie Foxtrot, going QRT, and the frequency goes back to MM0JVB. Cheers, Jimmy. Bye-bye for now.
Yeah, just interest. Sorry, what was your 2 Echo Zero call sign again?
Oh, right. 2 Echo Zero, Echo Romeo X-ray. And if I worked you as an M6, it was Mike 6 Juliet. No, M6 LJX. Yeah, Lima Juliet X-ray. So M6 LJX and 2E0 ERX. Back to you.
Yeah, no, just checking because I knew I'd watched you on 10 metres. But it was the 2 Echo Zero call sign. And there looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, almost like 16 or 80 metres of your 2 Echo Zero. And with your new call sign was done at 40 and 80 as well. So there's not much. We've not done it in 20 for some reason. I can't find an entry on talking that. So I'm sure it will come. And I say, Happy New Year to you, Joe, and the girls, mate. Take care. 73.
Yeah, cheers, mate, and best 73 to the family. You take care. I'm going to go and take my cough somewhere else as well now. Bye-bye. M0JCF, definitely clear.
73's Mark. QRZ, Mike Zero, Japan, Victor Bravo, CQ40.